Imagine a world where your dreams feel as real as waking life, where time bends, gravity shifts, and reality itself is called into question. Inception takes you deep into the mind's most twisted illusions, but what if you could never tell if you're awake? In this video, we'll unravel how Christopher Nolan used groundbreaking visual effects and mind-bending storytelling to warp your reality, leaving you questioning everything, right up until the final, spinning moment. Stick around, because the deeper you go, the less you'll want to wake up. In Inception, the line between reality and dreams blurs from the very beginning, setting the audience up for an experience unlike any other. The movie thrusts us into its dreamlike world with little explanation, reflecting the character's own disorientation. This chapter explores how Christopher Nolan uses the concept of dreams within dreams to create a layered, complex narrative, supported by equally complex visuals. From the first scene, we are introduced to the idea that dreams can be manipulated, constructed, and even weaponized. The film opens with Dom Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio, entering a dream world as part of a corporate espionage mission. Here, the audience witnesses a key idea that will unfold throughout the film: dreams can be controlled and shaped by architects. Cobb's job is to infiltrate people's minds by entering the dreams and extracting valuable secrets. But what if those dreams were layered, dreams inside dreams? This concept, central to Inception, is the foundation for the movie's mind-bending experience. Visually, this idea is represented with stunning complexity. The dreamscapes in Inception are not fantastical in the traditional sense. Instead, they mirror reality so closely that it's nearly impossible to distinguish between the two. Nolan plays with this ambiguity, using visual elements that challenge the audience's perception. We see vast cities and buildings, but they're not bound by the rules of the physical world. In one iconic sequence, Paris folds upon itself, bending the laws of nature and inviting the viewer to question whether what they are seeing is real or imagined. This manipulation of architecture symbolizes the flexibility of dreams, worlds that can be created, destroyed, and twisted according to the dreamer's will. One of the most iconic visual feats in Inception is the use of shifting gravity. In a dream, the rules of physics no longer apply. We see this most dramatically in the scene where Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, battles an enemy in a hotel hallway that spins on its axis. The characters tumble through the air, yet the fight continues seamlessly. This use of practical effects, rather than computer-generated imagery, grounds the scene in a way that feels eerily real, even as it defies all logic. The rotatwing hallway is a direct metaphor for the disorientation that comes with dreaming, and by extension, watching Inception. By the end of this chapter, the viewer begins to realize that the visual brilliance of Inception goes beyond mere spectacle. Nolan is purposefully disorienting us, using the dream within a dream concept to unsettle our understanding of what's real and what's not. As the layers of dreams stack, so does the complexity of the visuals, drawing us deeper into a world where nothing is quite as it seems. Time is one of the most fascinating elements in Inception, and it plays a critical role in how the film warps our understanding of reality. In this chapter, we explore how Christopher Nolan uses time as both a narrative and visual tool, creating a unique cinematic experience that feels disorienting yet immersive. The manipulation of time in Inception is not just a plot device, it's a psychological trick that forces the audience to question their own perception of time while watching the film. In Inception, time flows differently in each dream layer. The deeper you go into a dream, the slower time passes relative to the real world. This is visually illustrated in the film's parallel storytelling, where different dream layers unfold simultaneously, but at vastly different speeds. For example, in the top layer of the dream, a van slowly falls off a bridge, taking what seems like an eternity to hit the water. Meanwhile, in a deeper layer, hours or even days pass. This divergence in time creates a sense of urgency and tension, as the characters must complete their mission before the van hits the water and wakes them up. Nolan masterfully conveys the concept of time through visual storytelling. One of the most striking examples is the slow-motion sequences in the first dream layer, where everything moves at a glacial pace compared to the frantic activity in the lower layers. The audience experiences this time dilation visually. What should take seconds takes minutes, making the tension almost unbearable. The use of slow motion heightens this effect, particularly in the scenes where the van teeters off the bridge, creating a sense of inevitability that keeps the audience on edge. Another brilliant aspect of the film's time manipulation is the synchronization between the visuals and Hans Zimmer's iconic score. The music, particularly the track, Time, mirrors the temporal shifts in the movie. Most notably, The song, Non, je ne regrette rien, by Edith Piaf is slowed down and distorted in the dream world, reflecting how time stretches in these deeper layers. The song's slow, booming notes echo through the dream sequences, providing both a cue for the characters and a chilling reminder of how fragile time is within the dream. The van sequence is one of the most memorable moments in Inception, not only for its breathtaking visuals but for the way it builds suspense by manipulating time. As the characters in one layer of the dream plan and execute their heist, their actions are dependent on the van hitting the water in real time. The interplay between slow-motion visuals, normal speed action in other layers, and Zimmer's haunting score creates a visceral experience where time becomes fluid, distorted, and unpredictable. By the end of this chapter, the audience understands that time in Inception is more than a ticking clock, it's a tool Nolan uses to challenge our sense of control. Time in the dream world is malleable, just like the dreamscape itself. As viewers, we're swept into the same sense of urgency the characters feel, unable to predict what will happen next, while trapped in the slow-motion fall of the van. Time, like reality, is warped in Inception, pulling us deeper into the film's web of illusion. One of the most compelling aspects of Inception is its ability to keep viewers constantly questioning whether they are witnessing a dream or reality. In this chapter, we explore how Christopher Nolan uses subtle visual cues and narrative ambiguity to blur the line between these two worlds, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and suspense that persists throughout the entire film. The tension between dream and reality is at the heart of Inception, and it's masterfully conveyed through both the storytelling and the visual design. At its core, Inception is a psychological thriller where the stakes are rooted not just in the characters' missions, but in their perceptions of reality. The audience is introduced to Dom Cobb's personal struggle to distinguish between the two. Cobb's totem, the spinning top, is his only way of knowing whether he is awake or still dreaming. The visual of the top spinning endlessly without falling becomes an iconic symbol of this ambiguity. Nolan cleverly uses this visual motif to constantly remind us that what we see on screen might not be real. The film's visual approach to dream sequences adds to this sense of uncertainty. While most movies use dreams to depict exaggerated, fantastical imagery, Inception takes the opposite approach. The dream worlds in the film look incredibly realistic, almost indistinguishable from the waking world. This deliberate choice makes it difficult for both the characters and the audience to differentiate between the two. Nolan plays with this concept through the cinematography and set design. Everything seems normal, yet there is an unsettling feeling that something is off. This ambiguity keeps the audience on edge, unsure if what they are seeing is happening in reality or inside a dream. A key moment that illustrates this tension is the dreamscape designed by Ariadne Elliott Page, where entire cities fold upon themselves and impossible structures are constructed with seamless precision. The visual tricks here are subtle, yet powerful, making the dream world feel tangible but still surreal. These slight distortions of reality, like the bending streets of Paris or the shifting gravity in Arthur's zero-gravity fight, are disorienting but never fully outlandish. This technique grounds the dream world in a reality that feels eerily plausible, heightening the psychological tension of the film. Nolan further muddies the waters between dream and reality by incorporating narrative loops and unresolved scenes. For instance, Cobb's memory of his wife Marion Cotillard, constantly intrudes on his perception of reality, creating emotionally charged dream sequences that feel real to him, even though they are constructed from his own guilt and grief. Visually, these sequences are nearly identical to the real world, except for small, dreamlike distortions, such as Mal's ghost-like appearances or the unsettling stillness of her world. The pinnacle of this visual uncertainty comes in the film's final scene, where Cobb reunites with his children. As he spins the top to test whether he is dreaming or awake, the camera lingers on the spinning totem, wobbling slightly but never fully revealing its fate. The screen cuts to black before we see whether it falls, leaving the audience suspended in the same uncertainty Cobb faces. Is he finally back in reality, or is he still trapped in a dream? By the end of this chapter, viewers are left grappling with the same question that haunts Cobb: how can you truly know if you are awake? Inception keeps us questioning not only the reality within the film but also the nature of reality itself. The visuals serve as a constant reminder that, in the world of Inception, the line between dream and reality is razor thin, leaving us in a state of perpetual doubt. In Inception, the visual effects are nothing short of breathtaking. From gravity-defying fight scenes to cities folding in on themselves, Christopher Nolan crafted a cinematic experience that felt surreal yet believable. But what makes these visuals so remarkable is that many of them were achieved with practical effects, not just computer-generated imagery, CGI. This chapter delves into the behind-the-scenes trickery that brought Inception's dreamscapes to life, showing how Nolan blended cutting-edge technology with old-school filmmaking techniques to warp our sense of reality. One of the film's most iconic sequences is the zero-gravity hallway fight involving Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. In this scene, Arthur fights an assailant in a rotating hallway while the laws of gravity shift, creating a disorienting, surreal effect. Remarkably, Nolan chose to build a massive rotating set for this scene, instead of relying on CGI. The set was mounted on a giant gimbal, allowing it to rotate 360 degrees while the actors performed stunts inside. This practical approach gave the scene a grounded, tactile feeling that CGI would struggle to replicate. The actors were tethered to harnesses, but the physicality of their movements, grappling in a space where the floor becomes the wall, makes the action feel real, intensifying the audience's immersion. This dedication to practical effects extends to the folding city scene in Paris, where Ariadne, Elliot Page, learns to manipulate the dream world. While CGI was used to create the image of the city literally folding over itself, many of the surrounding elements were physically constructed sets. Nolan's team shot real footage of Paris, and then used visual effects to seamlessly blend reality with the surreal moment where the streets curve upward, defying gravity. The contrast between the familiar setting of Paris and the impossible physics of the dream world creates an uncanny effect, grounding the viewer in reality, even as it warps around them. Another example of practical effects being used to stunning effect is the crumbling dream world limbo that Cobb and Marion Cotillard, inhabit. These decaying, collapsing cityscapes were created using a combination of miniatures and practical explosions, with CGI enhancements layered on top. By using real, tangible elements, like debris and destruction, Nolan ensured that these dream worlds felt more authentic, even as they dissolved into dust and chaos. The blend of real-world textures and CGI allows for a seamless illusion that plays with the audience's perception, making it difficult to distinguish between what's real and what's digitally created. Beyond the spectacular stunts and visual trickery, Inception also uses subtle effects to create a sense of dreamlike unease. For example, in several scenes, reflections are used to suggest the thin veil between dreams and reality. Nolan plays with the concept of mirror images and double worlds, showing characters' reflections in glass or water as they navigate the dream layers. These small visual details hint at the film's larger theme of duality, how dreams reflect reality, but are not quite the same. One of the most understated yet effective visual tricks in the film involves the famous spinning top, Cobb's totem that helps him distinguish between dreams and reality. The simplicity of the visual, a small object spinning, belies the profound effect it has on the audience. In close-up shots, we see the top spinning steadily, defying gravity and seemingly spinning forever. Yet, with subtle camera angles and editing, Nolan creates doubt. The top wobbles slightly, leaving us unsure whether it will fall, forcing the audience to grapple with the same uncertainty Cobb faces. By blending practical effects, CGI, and psychological trickery, Nolan crafted a visual experience that mirrors the very nature of dreams, seamlessly blending reality with the impossible. The careful balance between real-world elements and digital enhancements creates a unique illusion, drawing the viewer deeper into the layered worlds of Inception. As Inception weaves its complex tale of dreams within dreams, it leaves the audience questioning not just the characters' realities, but their own. This chapter delves into the film's central philosophical question: what is reality? Through a blend of storytelling and visual mastery, Christopher Nolan challenges the audience to consider whether reality is something objective and fixed, or whether it can be shaped and altered, just like a dream. Throughout the movie, the characters rely on totems, personal objects that help them discern whether they're in a dream or reality. For Cobb, it's a spinning top that should never stop spinning in a dream, yet will eventually fall in reality. The totem serves as a small but powerful symbol of his struggle. However, as the film progresses, even the reliability of these totems is called into question. This reflects the broader theme that reality is not as straightforward as it appears. Just as Cobb manipulates dream worlds to achieve his goals, the line between his dreams and his waking life becomes increasingly blurred. In the final act, the film reveals how deeply rooted this uncertainty is within Cobb's psyche. His wife, Marion Cotillard, constantly intrudes into his dreams, representing both his guilt and his fear of losing his grip on reality. For Cobb, Mal's memory is so vivid and persistent that she often feels more real to him than the world around him. This emotional turmoil raises the question, if a dream can feel as real as waking life, what makes one more valid than the other? The film forces the audience to wrestle with this paradox as Cobb does, pushing the idea that our perception of reality may be influenced as much by our emotions and beliefs as by fact. Visually, Nolan emphasizes this philosophical dilemma by blending the real world with dream-like elements. For instance, in many of the film's scenes, there are no clear visual markers that indicate whether the characters are in a dream or reality. The seamless transitions between these worlds mirror how our own minds often merge memory, imagination, and perception. The dream layers in Inception look just as real as the waking world, making it increasingly difficult for the audience to distinguish between them. This lack of distinction heightens the tension, forcing viewers to experience the same uncertainty as the characters. The most significant visual metaphor for this theme is the city of Limbo, a place where dreamers can become trapped if they delve too deeply into the dream world. Limbo is portrayed as a decaying, crumbling cityscape, an eerie reminder that the mind can build elaborate realities that eventually deteriorate. The visuals of Limbo suggest that even a perfectly constructed reality can fall apart when it's no longer grounded in truth or purpose. For Cobb and Mal, Limbo represents the ultimate danger of mistaking dreams for reality, as they spent decades building a life there, only to realize they were trapped in an illusion. The film's conclusion leaves the audience with the ultimate question: did Cobb finally return to reality, or is he still dreaming? In the final scene, Cobb reunites with his children, but before leaving the room, he spins his totem. The camera focuses on the spinning top but cuts to black before revealing whether it falls or keeps spinning. This unresolved ending forces the viewer to confront the same question that haunts Cobb throughout the film: what is real? By leaving the ending open to interpretation, Nolan invites the audience to decide for themselves, emphasizing that, in the world of Inception, reality is subjective. In this way, Inception presents a profound and thought-provoking exploration of how we define our reality. It suggests that, just like dreams, our perception of reality can be shaped by our beliefs, desires, and fears. By the end, the film leaves us with an unsettling but powerful message: perhaps reality is what we make it.